SMT Nation, we back. Nation, we got big news out of Dish today. They had a horrible wireless quarter. Horrible, awful TV quarter. But they announced something big. And that was the merger between Dish and EchoStar, the satellite company. And that would offer Dish an improved financial leveraging situation. All right, so this would absolutely boost the potential to raise capital to finishing their 5G network build and literally boosting the ability of them to perform and compete in wireless. I want to tell you guys why the US Cellular sale makes more sense today than it did yesterday for Dish. All right, so we'll discuss that in today's video. Links for all the materials used in today's content will be in the description. Also in the description, the real SMT Buy Me a Coffee link. Support your creators, buy us a coffee, link in the description. And if you're looking for a really good deal on wireless service, you can get it from our partner, Mint Mobile. You guys know the Fox. You know they're about saving you money. And with those savings, you could do something else with the money. Like buy a protein shake, or go get a gym membership, or get some new shoes, you know, like the ones that the Fox are wearing, right? Anyways, mintmobile.com/Sneed is the link, the URL to use if you want to unlock these savings. The deflation promo pricing still active. They'll ship you out a SIM card really fast. They can also do eSIM activations, which are seamless, painless, and quick. All right, so great way to save money, and you can do it really easily. Links in the description. All right, so who's going to buy US Cellular? That's the big question. It's been the news for a couple of days, and we feel very strongly that it's probably going to happen. Now, there are some regulatory things to consider. You know, obviously, there's going to be a political piece to this. You know, some parties are more friendly to mergers and acquisitions than others. You know, so there might be some resistance, some pushback. Regulators have their handful in this, absolutely. Caught up in this transaction would be like 4.5 million customers and like over 4,000 cell sites, tons of spectrum assets, which is probably the most valuable thing to companies like Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T. And of course, you're going to have employees that are also involved in this, and that's not going to end well, but you know, we're used to that with mergers by now. Anyways, Dish. What are the prospects of Dish? You know, we talked about yesterday kind of T-Mobile being the front runner or in the catbird seat to make this transaction. You know, they've been in acquisition mode. They've been in merger mode for a while, and they seem to hit every time they get in on one of these things. But the big news is this. Charlie Ergen, the president, right, of Dish, strikes a deal to merge Dish and EchoStar. Dish isn't a bad financial situation. EchoStar really isn't. So this would allow some financial flexibility, the ability to possibly raise additional capital for Dish to finish building out their 5G network, which initially they said was going to take 8 years to do or something. I don't know what they said, or $10 billion. Well, they were wrong, and we knew they were wrong, so that's not new, but he needs capital, both for retail and for finishing the network, which his next, you know, checkpoint is going to be what, the last one, which is like 75% of the country covered, you know, and all their spectrum bands by 2025. No easy feat to accomplish. It's going to be really tough, but you need capital to even stand a chance, and that's what he's looking to be doing here. So that being said, the one thing I said about US Cellular and Dish, the only problem was the fact that they didn't have money. They didn't have capital. Right, and that's what I said. T-Mobile kind of doesn't really have the free cash flow. They've got the loan from the Sprint merger is kind of still looming, and it's expensive, you know, to pay that off and all those things. But now this Dish network as a possibility actually makes sense, and regulators might be more friendly to it because if you think about it, Dish is from a very, very weak position. So you think about the spectrum, 600 megahertz. US Cellular has that, so does Dish. The AWS. So does Dish. The CBRS, so does Dish. The DoD, so does Dish. The 700 megahertz, Dish has that too. You know, there's spectrum overlap. The one thing I will say is that the PCS spectrum, Dish doesn't use, you know, nationally. But, you know, this regional connection here, there's some potential, right? They could always sell the spectrum they don't need. They've got access to all these tower sites. You know, if we're thinking about kind of like the network piece of it, US Cellular's cell towers, about 4,300 cell towers, valued at about $3 billion. And then you have the Spectrum Holdings. They've got some millimeter wave. They got the CBRS, the DoD, the C-band, some of those lower frequencies. And there's some value to it, too. I think they say that the unused spectrum, the stuff that, you know, US Cellular still hasn't built out, is valued at $2.5 billion. 5 million customers, valued at $2.5 billion. You know, could Dish raise $10 billion, you know, and financial support from EchoStar? Well, I mean, there's some value to the assets that EchoStar has, too. So I don't know, man. This is pretty interesting stuff. I will tell you that today, after the announcements of the merger between EchoStar and Dish, it's much more likely today for US Cellular to be bought by Dish than it was yesterday. It doesn't mean it's a foregone conclusion. It's just indicating it's a possibility. Yesterday, I would have said it's probably unlikely. Now I'm saying it's a possibility, and Charlie is very clever, and he's Charlie Ergen. We'll see what happens, folks. But give me your opinion. Tell me what you guys think. Do you guys think it's more likely today for Dish to possibly purchase US Cellular? Do you still think it's unlikely, though? Sound off in the comment section below. You're the voice of the people, the SMT Nation. Let your voice be heard.